Wow, Ukraine goes all in a new counterattack in Pokrovsk direction, entering Shevchenko town. Or you may call it just a big village, plus Ukraine expands its territorial gains in Pishchane. At the same time, there was the small Russian counterattack and some of the Ukrainian soldiers surrendered, but mainly here and here Ukraine is on a full-scale counterattack. The front lines here are still boiling, but Ukraine absolutely took the advantage in Pokrovsk direction. For me, unexpectedly. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. So let's go with a wider picture here. This is the Pokrovsk town and this is the direction, two of the directions of the Ukrainian counterattack. A map presented here is interactive. I'm gonna put the link for the author of this map. It's Mike073 Analytic. I always refer to his maps. I think he is a great Oceanate analytic. He analyzes everything of what is happening on the front lines and you can click and check it out, cross-check with the real drone camera videos to see yourself the situation on the ground. Here you can see Ukrainian army entered Pishchane, so expanded in Pishchane more. And yeah, kind of the mutual success from both of the sides. So here Ukrainian army partially was forced to surrender and here it goes for the Russians. Unfortunately here I cannot show you the full video, but we have the confirmation that armed forces of Ukrainian take 2 prisoners of war. And Russians, well, let's check it out. Well, in their small counterattack in Pishchane, they unalived 2 of the Ukrainian soldiers and imprisoned 2 of the POWs. But in general, you see that Ukrainian army has a major success in this region. Ukraine takes initiative. What Russians do, they want to slow down the Ukrainian movement. That's it. So little by little, but Russians were pushed away from Pokrovsk. Well, speaking about in general about this Ukrainian counteroffensive, it doesn't have a single vector. There are small forces which act on a vast territory from multiple of the directions, performing small counterattacks. Some of them, as you may say, bigger than usual, some of them small, some of them smaller. So before Ukraine was attacking from here, there, so multiple of the sides, multiple of the spots. It is done to disturb the Russian army in general and for them to concentrate on their own defense and not offensive operations in attempt to get Pokrovsk. That's basically how I see the logic of this operation from Ukraine. In general, eastern front lines are boiling. As you can see, there are multiple of the clashes, but the main hotspot is still Pokrovsk direction. And luckily for us, Ukraine is not just getting it out to Russia like that. No, Russia is now struggling in Pokrovsk direction. With their huge assault from Avdiivka, they are just now exhausted. Now let's say that mostly Russians concentrating their resources in Kursk direction, where they have success. I zoomed into the area just to show you, so it was the previous border here 48 hours ago. And look how deep Russians moved, taking all of those territories, including the main town of Malaya Lokna and Makarovka here. Again, we have the jerk confirmation, so here Russian soldier waves some of the flags on top of one of the destroyed buildings in one of the villages. It happened here and the same picture is over here. And even if you check out the update from the Deep State military map source, you can see the dramatic change. Moreover, we see the expansion of the gray area in Novenka. This is the Ukrainian village, so yesterday and today. As I've told you before, the idea for Russians is to advance to this road to cut supplies for Sudzha region for Ukrainian armed forces, and they may do it on Ukrainian control or Ukrainian territory, it's better to say. So in general, I expect that the Ukrainian army will continue to withdraw its forces to protect Sudzha, but as you can see here and here, Russia is using their aviation on their own towns and villages. They even dropped the biggest aviation gliding bomb they have, FAB 3000 kilograms of TNT. As you can see, it might kaput the vast part of the village right away. And for Ukraine, it was also a bad story over here. The convoy was formed probably to change the troops or to withdraw from the area. So Russia used the aviation on the Ukrainian convoy, unfortunately, causing some of the losses, at least in vehicles. You can see it was the airstrike corrected by the Russian surveillance drone. Well, at least it is marked here as an aviation strike. So maybe like the next move for Ukrainian army is to move the forces out to protect its own border and the flanks in Sumy region. I don't see the other variant, at least if Russia continue with the present pace. And they use all of the possible means to get Ukrainian armed forces out. They were preparing for this operation long time ago. And honestly, guys, I don't see how Ukraine might stop the Russian advancement, at least for now, based on the scale of it. The main issue again goes with supply lines. This supply line is under the constant Russian strike. There was some of the information published that the Ukrainian army is being encircled in this northern part, that 1,300 Ukrainian army troops were encircled, but this is fake information. Yeah, those kind of the delusional maps you may find on the internet, but it's not truth. Again, my friends, it's total fake. And just for you to understand of how controlled territory of Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region shrink for the last few months, we have to go to September the 1st. So as you can see, it was before and it is today. Definitely Russia took initiative, and I don't see the perspective for Ukrainian army to hold for a very long time in Kursk region. From my own logical perspective, the only reason I see for Ukrainian army to stay there is to not let Russia into the Sumy region, because yeah, it's better to lose Russian villages than your own on your own territory. For me, the other reasons are just absent. The Ukrainian long-range drones work every night hitting Russian infrastructure. We have the CCTV camera video just to look at this corner. There is some flash over there, and it's been geolocated as the Samara oil refinery facility. I haven't received any kind of the close-by images yet, but a refinery on fire has been confirmed in the local groups of Russians. So yes, it was geolocated. So every night, almost Russia continued to lose its infrastructure. Alright guys, to the other news here, we have the post retweeted by Elon Musk and saying about dictatorship and Putin's-like ambitions of Donald Trump. As I made it clear during my joint address to Congress, the United States strongly supports people of Greenland's right to determine their own future. It gives me flashbacks from 2014, then Putin was saying the same stuff towards Ukrainian Crimea, that people of Crimea should determine their own future, and basically Russia used it as excuse to annex Ukrainian territory. Absolutely the same stuff is happening with Donald Trump's regime, I would call it like that, even copy-paste of Russian rhetoric. The only difference is Greenland instead of Crimea. We're ready to invest billions of dollars. Yes, Putin said the same stuff. We're gonna build the Pearl on the Black Sea, investing billions of rubles to Crimea. We're gonna make you rich, but Greenland is a part of Denmark, and people not poor, I would say, in Denmark. Like average, I would say, even compared to the United States of America. And if you choose, we'll welcome you to be part of greatest nation anywhere in the world, the United States of America. Yeah, blah, 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 greatest nation, of course. The other nations are not that great as our nation. We heard that rhetorics from fascists and Nazis, actually, before the Second World War. About Starlink, finally, we have some of the clarification from Elon Musk himself. He said that, to be extremely clear, no matter how much I disagree with the Ukraine's policy, Starlink will never turn off its terminals. And again, he stated that the Ukrainian lines would collapse if there is something goes wrong with Starlink. Yeah, it would be difficult, so luckily Elon Musk will keep Starlinks alive, at least for now. But we understand that his opinion may change in a matter of seconds, as well as Trump's. But in general, those are the good news for Ukraine. By the way, my friends, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, you may do it via Patreon. I'll put the link for my Patreon page right in the video description below. Thank you so much for supporting my motivation. Alright, this week there are going to be negotiations between the United States of America and Ukraine. Ukraine is getting ready for those, as the Economist says, brutal negotiations, because Donald Trump absolutely took the Russian side. So from some of the insights, we have the plan of Ukrainian delegation. Ukraine will say that no peace agreement is valid if Ukraine will lose its ability to reform its army and to get weaponry. It's just to cope with the Russian term of demilitarization of Ukraine. Also, Ukraine will tell that it will never recognize any sort of the occupied territory by Russians. Ukraine will also not agree on demands to conduct elections in Ukraine, presidential or parliament elections. At the same time, Economist refers to their source in Kremlin, so Russia is determined for Ukraine to proclaim its neutral status and exclude any sort of the outside interference from NATO countries, including placing the peacekeepers from those countries. But the plan of Europe, and probably it's also the part of the Trump's plan, is to deploy actually peacekeepers in Ukraine. for them to play the role of the security guarantee. However, we understand even now that they will not play that role. The only security guarantee nowadays, I wouldn't say it's even NATO, no, it's nuclear weaponry, unfortunately. Because we understand that if Russia attacks Lithuania, for example, United States will stay outside, at least with Donald Trump as a president. As the Financial Times says, Ukraine seeks to persuade the United States to resume aid in high-stakes talks. Moreover, Ukraine plans to introduce the partial ceasefire plan, to ban the aerial attacks on infrastructure and also the war in the sea. We'll see if Russia and the United States would be open for those kind of the negotiations. I personally think, guys, that Russia is not ready for any sort of the agreements with the Ukraine. I think that they're playing with Donald Trump, actually humiliating him in the eyes of the world community. Trump is making clown of himself personally, and Putin also helps that. In this video, journalist asks Trump about the same feature. Let's listen.
By attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there? Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there?
What did he do?
Do you think that Putin disrespects you if he attacks Ukraine?
Well, he's attacking Ukraine.
Is he disrespecting me?
Yep.
Who are you with?
I'm Michael Burnbaum, the Washington Post.
You've lost a lot of credibility.
No answer to this question, and definitely Putin disrespects Donald Trump. Attacking Ukraine even more after Donald Trump says that he may trust Putin in achieving the peace agreement in Ukraine, that for him it's better to have the deal with Putin than with Ukrainian government. He said himself that it's more simple to speak with Putin than with Ukraine. But the world is watching the actual picture, and if there is the meeting between United States president and a Russian one, believe me, the same day Russia would launch one of their biggest strikes on Ukraine, just to cover Donald Trump in blood even more. And by the way, as sources say, there's going to be a meeting between American and Russian delegations in Saudi Arabia, maybe also this week. And from what I understood, the mineral deal for Donald Trump is not enough. He wants Ukraine to give up its territories to Russia and also for Ukraine to hold elections, which for Ukraine is not acceptable at all. But we'll see how it goes. Alright, officially we have a new Prime Minister of Canada. Mark Carney is his name. You may Google it, you already know about him from many of the media sources, so I wouldn't put attention on his personality, but he would continue a similar policy in Canada. Canadians, stay tight and strong, believe in yourself, in your country. You can cope with everything, even with new threats coming from the south. Interesting, did you know that J.D. Vance's cousin was fighting for Ukraine for 2.5 years? He is the former Marine and was fighting for Da Vinci Wolf since 2022, and just a few months ago he went back to United States of America. He gave the interview to the press condemning the attitude of J.D. Vance and Donald Trump towards Zelensky in Oval Office. So you see, even within the family there could be good guys and bad guys. As usual, actually. The name of the guy is Nate Vance and he is 47 years old. Respect to you, Nate, and yes, you are just awesome. I wish he was a vice president of the United States and not his cousin JD or DJ. Donald Trump says that the ban on Ukraine to obtain intelligence data is almost lifted. What does it mean? Almost. What is the logic here? He wants to press the victim and he's getting along with Russia. Yeah, usual stuff, you understand that. Usual Trump stuff, I would say. So he, with his methods, is same as Putin. So why would Donald Trump secure Europe if he wants to get the part of the European territory, Greenland, which is Denmark, and Denmark is a European country? So yes, absolutely we shouldn't rely on the United States any longer. And you know, even Germany understands that, so Germany may refuse F-35 purchase over emergency switch, consider Eurofighter instead. The fact is the fact, you may buy some of the American equipment like Ukraine got American HIMARS, for example, and without any sort of the intelligence data and without shells for HIMARS, those are basically useless trucks. The same might happen to Germany, for example, if they purchase F-35. So America is losing tons of money with its policy. because redundancy is more important to efficiency. Yes, Eurofighter is not as good as F-35, but it is a more robust choice for Germany, for example, if it wants to secure its military from outside factors or mood of Donald Trump or other politicians across the ocean. With its policy, United States becomes more and more isolated, and that brings the economy, well, not collapse, but the global recession for sure. Not just in the United States, but worldwide, and the markets, so they will change. I personally see the formation of the bloc between Canada, United Kingdom, European countries, some of them, Australia. There is no other choice than to come out with some other superpower alternate to United States of America. Russia, well, it's not a superpower at all, and China, well, it might be a threat for democracy in general. Ex-British Empire united with European Union, that sounds good. And we have here the real evidence of that. So United States of America freezes the F-16 technical support for Ukraine. So Mirage 2000 fighters may replace them? No. Ukraine has obtained just few of the Mirage 2000 airplanes. There are many more F-16s out there in Ukraine. And this article says that the administration of the President Donald Trump has halted critically important jamming system support for Ukrainian Air Force, which could significantly weaken their air counteraction capabilities. Let's zoom to the text. So here is the electronic warfare pods to jam Russian radars. These jets effectively serve as flying air defense, with the early missile warning technology according to the conflict intelligence team. So Donald Trump reduces capabilities for Ukraine to fight against the Russian aerial attacks. So who Ukrainians should blame for the strikes on their civilian infrastructure, on their homes? Then they lost their property and loved ones. I would say not Putin only this time. But nevertheless, guys, we have the awesome news coming from Romania. This pro-Russian buffoon, Kursk, who wanted to become next Orban in Romania, or even worse, I would say, well, he is banned from running in elections any longer directly by the Electoral Commission Bureau. So, thankfully, this is not a threat any longer for democracy in Europe. Romanians, you are just awesome. Romania is a great country and will continue to be a great one for decades ahead. Romanians still remember their old dictatorship past, and they will avoid going to the same scenario. So this prick is no longer running, and moreover, he'll be charged with criminal accusations, so he may even spend some of the time in prison. A great story ending for any sort of the pro-Russian candidate. I hope that someday Fico and Orban will face the same outcome for them. And again, cheers to Romania and to all of you, my friends, who watch this channel. Guys, you are great, you are awesome. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.